Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel.
So I'll do like controls now, but walking around in that. So I don't need that. I need that. So local space. So this has different speeds for each of the different axes. So if we made that 0 and that 0, it's only got x, so it's moving in that direction. If we put that on negative x, we'll have our example from before going around. Okay, so let's just get a general thing working. We have the left stick, which is relative to the camera, so if we go here and push up on the left stick, it will be moving in that direction. But if we look over here and push up on the left stick, it will be pushing in that direction. So let's use that for now, and that will go horribly wrong quite shortly. Plug it into a splitter, which means we can get the X and the Y separately, which is like left, right, and up, down. And we'll wire X into X, Y into Y. We'll actually give that default speeds. Make sure this is on the X mode, on modulate. If you hold L1, it tells you what mode it's on. And then press X and it changes how the wire affects the setting. So here it multiplies the direction you want to go in by the speed. So we'll do that for that and that. And so that's working. We'll give it more strength. So, and then I push up when I'm looking in that direction, and so on. But once we get round here, that's actually a different direction now, because in the scene it's pointing that direction. So actually we don't want to use that. So this is actually X and Z over here. So like Y is always up, so it's like the jumping direction, and then X and Z is like on this plane, on this flat surface. But we want the X and Z to be different when we're over here. We want the X to be like there, which is the Y, and then the Z to be like forwards and backwards like that. Stuff like that. So we have to do some stuff to figure out what direction those new axes should be. So let's do that first. I'm going to reuse one of these cubes so we don't incur any more graphics cost. Use grid snap and use L1 and triangle to use the grid of the object. And then I'll add a microchip. I don't think I need it in the center, so I'll just surface snap it on. Now this will follow using a tag. I think this camera focus one will be fine. So I'll have that teleport to that tag using a teleporter. And we'll just go up and down on here. There you go, so it's gone to that position. And this has no visibility or collision or anything, so that's fine. We also want to use the orientation. So this means if it goes round like that, then if you look at the face of the chip, the like horns are pointing up. So the tag on here is actually on its side as well. So Y is up there, and the horns should be pointing up there as well. So you can see it's teleporting here, but the horns are pointing up, so that's working. So now I'll add a movement sensor. Yes, so this has the same kind of axes, and we want that to be local. So when this rotates, then the axes rotate, the X, Y, and Z. And it has these outputs saying what direction in scene space that X axis is pointing in. So if we split that, then we get A, B, and C, which correspond to X, Y, and Z in the world. If we just rotate this, you can see the direction that is pointing in is different. So X, the X on the side there, is now pointing towards the camera. So that's what. So that direction defined by these numbers is pointing from there towards the camera. So we're going to use that to figure out what our X, when we want to move in X, what happens there, and what happens when we move in Y. So I'll use a node here and just wire those in, and then we take this over here and have similar nodes here, but we change those into input ports, wire the X into X and Z into Z, and then we get those in here. Now we can say we can use the local stick here, which just ignores the camera, so it's just is the user pointing up or down on the left stick, or left or right on the left stick, and that's what comes out of here. So when we push left or right on the X, we actually want to go we want to multiply this like vector of what direction X actually is by how much we're pushing that. So we'll just put it through a calculator with multiply. We'll put X in the top and the X direction in the bottom, and we'll just wire that into I think I'll actually split it, because we need to split it for these separately, and wire those into here, and we'll make that same as the others, like that. So we're getting like a universal scene space direction from this setup, but then we're using it in local space, so we need to turn that off. Okay, let's set that to -1. Cool, that's actually working. But if we look up here, left and right works from this angle, but not from that angle, because it doesn't care about what direction the camera is. So we want to teleport this to there so that it has like the angle from that perspective, but then we want it to also face the camera kind of in that perspective. So I'm going to copy that. Let's use the grid and just select that, copy that. We don't need the chip, and we'll have this bolted like that. We'll put it on the side and put that in the center, press triangle to make sure it's locked on the grid. So now really that can like rotate however you want it to, but we want it to rotate so that it faces the camera. So I'm going to use a microchip here like that, and use a look at rotator. If you get a global settings gadget, it actually has a camera transform output like that, and we can just wire that straight into the target position, and now it'll try and look towards the camera. So we move over here and we kind of rotate around. It tries to look at the camera. It's really slow at the minute, so let's turn up the speed and damping, make that maximum speed. This isn't pointing in the same direction, so we want Z to be there. So we'll turn on the grid, snap it to there, with the other one on a triangle, move the arrow over here, so now that is the face that will look towards the camera. So now the chip should always be facing the camera. So then we want this thing to actually be on this one that is taking into account the that way's rotation and the camera rotation. So left and right works, rotate like that. Now left and right is that direction, so that all works. Let's try going around here, and it still works over here, and that works. Awesome. Let's go back over here. So now let's do the same for the other one. Maybe just do that and put that into blend mode, which is the 0, which means it averages them out. So our forwards and backwards is averaged out with left and right, but that actually makes it a lot slower, but we can kind of compensate for that. So let's go over here. That. We could actually just add them, I think. That'll be fine. So let's put them into a calculator. and add them and wire that in there. What I'll actually do is I'll multiply it at the start to the speed we actually want, so then we can just control the speed in one place. So I'll set all these to 1 meter per second. And because we're using multiply, the modulate mode, then if we send it a 5, then it will multiply that 1 meter per second by 5. Yeah, so that will actually go through there. So now we can multiply the actual left stick first by the speed we want. So we can say like 10. And that'll go 10 meters per second in the resulting behavior. Like that. Whoa. So probably want to strengthen the artificial gravity, which is here. Cool. So we actually want to be able to jump as well. So let's have one for Y. Let's just move that around. Grab the Y. So this time we want like a separate mover like that, and we'll have it have high strength. Put that into the direction, and then power it. We'll have it. We want it to pulse on, which means come on for a very short amount of time, and kind of send them into the sky. But then it'll turn off immediately, so that it starts falling again. So let's just wire that into there. Set this onto pulse mode. So then when I press X, you can see it just come on for a fraction of a second and turn on that mover. Oh, that should be positive, I think. Cool. So that's our jump. We want to only be able to start pressing it when we're on the ground and do something. So what we can actually do is have an AND gate like this. So if we started pressing A and we're on the ground, so now I can't press it while we're in the sky, and then we can press it while on the ground again. It's very finicky like this value, so we actually want to check if it's on the ground or not. If it's colliding with the surface. So it's colliding with scenery. If it's touching scenery, figure out if it's close enough to the ground if we're actually colliding. So it's a little bit like wobbly and janky and stuff, but it works okay. Yeah, you can even jump around a corner. Whee! Cool, and then that means that this thing can be like any shape. We have to set it to be scenery. So now we can like turn that one off and move this guy over here. There you go. And it's like closely adhering to the weird shapes. So that.
Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.